Welcome back to Collate Solutions, and I am joined once again by who is becoming rapidly one of my favorite guests to have on this, Aiden Gearing. Oh, Kia's gonna get mad. Joe's gonna get mad. They all want to be my favorite, but you get
I
to be
really appreciate that, Shub. I enjoy our chats, so thank you for having me on again.
absolutely. And we're gonna cover a tool. I go through fits of using it a lot, and it's really a great tool. But Apache Superset, and I think it's probably pretty
Yes,
popular.
yes.
So let's look at that, right? Like what does that mean in the context of Colate? What does that look like? Why do we do it? Why is it important to have that connector?
I completely agree, and let's dive into it. Let me start sharing my screen, and I'll give some voiceover of kind of my background with Apache Superset in the interim. Apache Superset, for those who don't know what it is a dashboarding tool, BI tool. You probably know of Power BI, Tableau, but Apache Superset, that is like the gold standard of open source dashboarding tools. Like if
Yeah.
you a penny pincher and you don't want to spend money on Power BI, the first thing you're going to most times is Apache Superset. I know for myself, that is exactly what I did. And everyone's got the grand ideas of I can do that myself. So here we are looking at Apache Superset. So I'm just going to put in a service name just so we know what we're dealing with. And if you want to help your fellow man, you can add a description so they have some additional insights of what we're potentially setting up here. I'm just going to leave it as is, and we got some information. So this is great. A lot of stuff is already populated for us. It's given us the default local host and port, but we're going to change that because we're connecting to a cloud instance. So this is great if you're running this locally, but unfortunately this is running in the cloud. We enterprise users here. So
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
just going to place the correct host and port there. You can see that because it's in the cloud, I don't necessarily need to put in a port. I'm just going to leave it as is. And then we got some connection options. I can connect via API or I can connect directly to the underlying Postgres or MySQL database.
Oh,
So some flexibility there, which
yeah.
is great. Thanks, Superset. But we're just going to leave it as is. And it's also, we got two different providers. And you'll notice on the side, every time I click somewhere, it's taking me around the documentation to make sure I know what I'm doing. And wherever I get lost, I can just take a glance to my right and I know what's happening. So we're going to leave it as DB as the default, but you can see if you've got some other authentication providers, blah, 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 not relevant for us today, you can use that accordingly.
Okay.
In terms of the username and password, I'm just going to put in the nice, very secure admin for username, admin for password. Doesn't matter. This is a demo instance. No one's going to be stealing my credentials today. So I'm just going to leave that as is. I'm going to go test this connection.
All
And
right.
voila, we got ourselves a connection.
Looking good.
We can then go to the next step, ignore all those saving login details, and we got some filter patterns. So either we can filter for our dashboards, our charts, our data models, and our various projects, whatever we'd like to filter on. Okay. All right. So we've got our data dashboard connection. So we've ingested some information here. We can see that in our total data assets on the side. We've got some charts, some dashboards, and some data models. And if you're like me and you might be new to the data analytics space, what is the difference between these three? So I'm going to start from the high level, which is a data model. You can think of a data model as basically the SQL query of how you want to get your data from the relational database into your dashboarding tool so it's usable. So from like your transactional data structure to more of your aggregated information so we know what's happening. So that's why you can see even in our descriptions, it's like data of vaccine candidates per phase or per country. We want to try and get some insights from something. So that's when you use a data model.
Okay.
So I'm going to go click into that and we can get a little bit more information. So we, as well, we can see the description. We can see kind of the columns that we're using. So we got some preclinical phase 1 to a lot of medical gibberish that's going over my head, but at least I know that it's dealing with vaccine candidates. So that's great and really helpful.
Okay.
We can also give that additional metadata understanding with adding some tags and glossaries, both at the data model level and at the column level. But then we can also see we have a nice little button here that says SQL.
Hmm.
If I click on that, I can see the actual SQL that's being used in Superset to generate this table. So we can see there's a whole bunch of case and where this and that happening so that we can generate this table. But we got some information at least from, oh my goodness, that is a very long SQL query. So we're not going to dive into that. But the benefit of Collate, we got a copy to clipboard button. So if I ever want to reproduce this somewhere else, just copy it, paste it where you need to go. I'm a big power user when it comes to Command C and Command V. So that's great to see.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we got this amazing data model, and now we want to potentially see how that looks in a specific dashboard and tool. So we can go back out to that top level and go to those dashboards. We can see we got a whole bunch of different dashboards here, of which if I keep scrolling, we should see something like, COVID vaccine dashboard. I wonder if that's potentially connected and related to that vaccine information we were looking at.
Oh yeah.
So same thing. We now at the dashboard level, we can add those glossary terms, those tags, the metadata we want. We can view that in Superset itself and context switch really quickly. But we also see the actual charts in this dashboard. We can see the age of distribution and these arcs and what is the chart type. We can add a description of potentially what this information is. So we're getting a lot of accelerators of helping us manage not just our data, but the dashboards and the context of how we're presenting this information to external viewers or users.
Well, it's really taking sort of the documentation of your entire system and or your entire data ecosystem and putting it in one place, as opposed to having to bounce around however many tools to try to find it.
Exactly. So I can even drill down one step further and go into like that specific chart we're looking at. So there's no information here, but even at the chart level, I can give some description of describing what it's supposed to do. I know it's a histogram of vaccines, whatever the case might be. We get that information. So we have that semantic understanding so that as a user or our robot compatriots, AI can ingest this information and use it to the best of their ability. Because if I know that this is age distribution of respondents, that doesn't mean much to me unless I had that context. So we got the context of that this is a part of COVID vaccine dashboard. So we know that these respondents are people who have responded potentially to a survey for vaccines. And we already have a lot more information than just, putting the microscope on close to your data and you not getting the full picture of what we see.
And
so, this is a lot of information here.
Well, this puts it in a context that, people can understand. COVID was obviously actually a big worldwide thing and it touched pretty much everybody. So looking at this context, you understand, it makes it clear what it is. It's not like a taxi database or something. That's
exactly. Yeah, no, COVID is definitely something that's everyone knows.
So then if this has been connected up with sources and destination, well, I guess it's just sources, a dashboard. Dashboards don't feed out to something else. Yeah, you'd be able to see the data.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we just set this up so it's not part of a larger ecosystem. But awesome. This is super interesting. I was curious what this would look like. I hadn't had a chance to play with Superset and Collate yet. So thank you very much, Aidan. I appreciate your time.
No, it's a pleasure, Sean. Always happy to help.